Today we are going to learn how to make this little 3D folded card that does lay flat, so it can be mailed and gifted in an envelope, but then when you pop it up, it creates this cute little pyramid type shape and can be embellished with whatever paper and colors and patterns that suit your fancy. And this is what the one I've chosen looks like today. So the base of the project and what you need to get started is cardstock. I've chosen white. You can pick whatever color you would like. You need one rectangle that is a 4" by 8". And you need one square that is a 4" by 4". Then you need to take some type of scoring tool, whatever you like to use, whether that's your score pal, your score buddy, your trimmer with a score blade, your knuckle and folding and pressing, whatever you like for folding paper. And we'll start with the rectangle because it's got the most amount of folds. You have to fold this one 3 times. The first thing that you're going to do is score it or fold it right in half so that when it folds, it looks like a 4 by 4 square. So you'll score it at the 4" mark or fold it at the 4" mark so that when you fold it in half, it's like a 4 by 4 square. Once you're happy with that, you are going to take that seam, like that point that you've just created there at the top, and you're going to draw an imaginary line from the bottom corner of your card up to that center point, and you're going to score or fold again on an angle so that the point meets there. And then when you've done that, you're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other side in this, like the same direction, so that when they're both folded down, it looks like a triangle again. Once you've created that, it should have 3 little folds in it, one that folds it in half, 2 that drop down to create a triangle, and then you could at that point, and we will, so make sure it works, then fold it into itself one last time to make an even smaller triangle. It should be able to collapse in on itself. And if not, just work that crease a little bit to give it the flexibility that it needs to fold in on itself. Once you've done that, you can set that piece aside, and your second piece is even easier than that. You've got a 4 by 4 square, and on an angle, not in a straight half, but on an angle, you're just gonna fold it in half. So from one tip to the other tip, one point to one point, kitty corner to one another, you're gonna score or fold a line so that it collapses in half. Once you've done that, that's really all the tough work there is. Now we are going to assemble those 2 pieces. And again, if you're falling behind, that's okay. I can answer questions or do little replays of elements at the end. I'm taking this square, I'm turning it onto an angle. I'm taking my rectangle tall ways, so the 8" this direction, and my square on an angle. And I'm going to join those 2 seams so that both of the crease marks line up with one another. And I'm gonna slide that triangle right till it hits the very end, so the bottom are flush. This part's gonna stick out because it's taller on an angle, like twisted sideways, it's longer than this. But on this end, they're going to be flush with one another, and the seams are going to be flush with one another, and you're going to glue it down flat. Keeping in mind that the triangle, or I guess it's a square, sticks farther out. So make sure you're not putting any adhesive on this part of your paper because it's going to stick out, and so you don't want any glue there. So you're just putting glue on this portion of your square. And then lining it up flush with the bottom and seams in line with one another And that also, if you need another visual reference, this fold that you've created should line up with the edge of your other paper. And once you've done that, you have created the entire base of the card, and then we just get to decorate it. So make sure once you've glued all those pieces together that it can, from your rectangle, if you take your rectangle, you should still be able to fold those two pieces down to create that triangle shape that we had created before, and then you should still be able to fold it in on itself. Beautiful, Julinar. So once you've done that, then we had pre-cut in advance, but I'll just mention the measurements for the sake of the video here. We have chosen 4 pattern papers, and we have cut 4 squares, 1 out of each of the 4 different pattern papers. All 4 of those squares we have cut at 3 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So I have 4 3 3/4 inch squares from 4 different pattern papers. Then I've chosen 2 of those 4 pattern papers, or you could pick 2 different pattern papers if you wanted to. And I've cut itty bitty little 1 1/2 inch squares. So 4 big squares, 2 little squares, for a total of 6 squares. Now at this point, we're going to take all of those squares and cut them in half, not in half straight, in half on an angle again. So you're going to take it from point to point and cut them in half, all 6 of them, so that you have 12 triangles. Because if you look at the card, you can see that each little space gets its own little triangle. So we need to create all the little triangles to fill in all of these spaces. And then once you've done that, it's just a matter of deciding where and how you want to line your triangles up. Maybe you want to put all 4 patterns of the big ones out here rather than matching them same. You want to mix and match them, or make a pattern like green burlap. That part is up to you. You can play around with how you want to organize your triangles on your card. But obviously the big triangles go in these big spots. You'll be able to see when you're gluing them together, they fit size-wise perfectly into place with a nice little border. And the small ones go here and here, and here and there. Once that's done, I forgot to bring magnets home, so I can't apply the magnet, but I would suggest putting a magnet closure here, which would involve putting a magnet underneath of the piece of pattern paper that goes here, and a magnet underneath of the piece of pattern paper that goes here. So when you collapse it, you can see which 2 line up over top of one another, and you're just going to put a magnet on each one of these pieces so that it holds itself shut. Or you could put Velcro here as well. If you just wanted to put double-sided Velcro on each half to hold it shut as well, would be just fine. And then you have this cute little pyramid card. I guess, I don't know, does pyramid have to have 4 sides? School was a long time ago, I don't remember. But yeah, then you can decorate it with like little tags and florals and gears and whatever kind of sentiments and gadgets you want to put on it to make it cute. Just keeping in mind where it connects and joins. So like this side, totally fine to have pieces hanging out over the edge, because assembled, nothing that doesn't get in the way. Laid flat this way, it doesn't get in the way, and folded, it doesn't get in the way. But you know, some of these seams, like in here, you don't want to be putting stuff there because it's going to get in the way when you go to try and collapse and fold it. So think about how it collapses when you're creating your embellishments on it, just because, again, anywhere where there's a seam that's going to hit another edge, you know, like this seam here is going to get shoved into that corner there when we collapse it. You don't want anything overhanging that because it'll get wrecked when you try and close it. But other than that, that's our cute little 3D card. Super simple, super fun, super unique, and I think anybody would love to receive such a card as this.